So we'll start with the West Coast here. The Branch brothers, Zachariah Branch, Zion Branch. Big news that came out yesterday that they would be entering the portal here. And Zachariah, the younger brother, speedster, real weapon offensively, 10.33 in the 100-meter. Guy who's 5'10", 175, 47 catches, 503 yards, and a touchdown this year. A couple return touchdowns last season. Dealt with an injury this year, so it wasn't his best output in terms of production. And obviously, it was an up and down situation for USC this year. But a guy who's a highlight maker for sure. A lot of fans were excited to see his name when he entered the portal. And then his brother, who was a big recruit in his own right, 6'2", 210, has been a guy who's dealt with a lot of injuries in his career, safety position. These guys, again, social media-wise, they were the first college athletes, college football players, I should say, to sign a deal with the Jordan brand in terms of NIL. So they have that star appeal. We're expecting them to command some money here in the transfer portal. But this was big news when it popped yesterday.
Yeah, you mentioned that Jordan brand. That's an interesting twist just in terms of Jordan brand schools about UNC, UCLA, Michigan, North Carolina with Bill Belichick. That'd be an interesting fit. So few schools out there across the country, but such a talented family. I didn't realize that their great uncle was Cliff Branch from the Oakland Raiders, one of the greats, 10-300, 21-01, 200 meters, long jump 24, triple jump 46, 4 1/4. That's the state's best leap that year, in Nevada. So this is a guy who has always been a great athlete, was a 5-star player. A lot of Tyreek Hill comparisons coming out of high school because of the combination of quickness and explosiveness. I agree. I thought he looked a little slower last year at USC. He was involved more in the passing game. He was a first-team All-America returner as a true freshman for USC. This year, more incorporated in the passing game, better numbers in the passing game, but just didn't look as dynamic. It must have been an injury because you know what this guy's capable of when he is full speed. His brother, probably more of a, even though he was a great athlete coming out, another top 100 player, a little older, has battled injuries. He's probably more of a physical safety, Zion, not somebody who's going to be a dynamic, 6'7" INT kind of guy, but someone who'll tackle who's in front of the person who's in front of him, bring him down, and does have some athleticism. But these are guys with the pedigree coming from Bishop Gorman, probably the best program in the country. They're great kids from everything you hear. They started their own nonprofit when they were young kids. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing anything like that at that age. And of course, they have the athleticism. I think both of these guys, the name is probably bigger than the production to this point. But part of that is because they have the athleticism. You've seen the track numbers, you've seen the highlights, and there's more to pull out of them. So whatever school gets these players, and look, Zachariah entered the portal with a no contact tag, which means he kind of knows where he's going or knows where the couple of schools he wants to talk to. Zion didn't. You wonder if maybe some schools are going to recruit both. Some schools will only recruit Zachariah. And if that's the case, are they a package deal? Would they separate? Something to watch for in this recruitment, Pete. But a couple schools in the mix, according to On3. Miami, they're looking for a slot receiver. They also need depth at safety. Michigan, trying to build around Bryce Underwood. Georgia's been mentioned twice. They certainly need dynamic playmakers all over the field. That's been a weakness for them, even as they won the SEC. Oklahoma needs everything, retooling that roster potentially around John Mateer, the quarterback from Washington State, who's a strong consideration there. Florida trying to build around DJ Lagway. Louisville always in the market for these kind of players. You saw what they did with Isaac Brown, who's a dynamic, smaller running back. But Jeff Brom could do a lot with a guy like Zachariah Branch. I believe that is also a Jordan brand school. Actually, I'm not sure. They're an Adidas school, actually. So maybe that's a problem. So a lot of different schools, a lot of different considerations. To me, what I'm trying to see is, are these guys going to stick together or are they going to separate?
Yeah, Oklahoma's Jordan brand too. So, yeah, I mean, look, in general too here, when you look at the USC situation, D, obviously not a great year by any stretch for Lincoln Riley out there, but they've had a lot of guys enter the portal, and this isn't a USC only problem, right? Let's make that clear. This is happening at other places, but a lot of high profile entries. Miller Moss on his way to Louisville, Kyron Hudson on his way to Penn State, Bear Alexander. Is that official yet? Is he Penn State? I know he was visiting Penn State. I'm sure he'll take some other trips around.
And hopefully he doesn't get a tattoo like the Georgia tattoo on his bicep.
Right. So you look at the situation at USC. Is there anything in terms of the trend that it's going towards right now that concerns you?
Well, 9 out of 12 top 100 recruits signed by Lincoln Riley have now transferred. What concerns me is you see the tweet from the Branch brothers basically saying, we're entering the portal, we're out of here. And then Damani Jackson, Raleek Brown, who were big recruits that have since transferred out, are tweeting smart man publicly. That's not a good sign. I mean, again, sometimes the people that leave should have left and they're unhappy for a reason. It's not the school's fault that they have those feelings. So just because players that left are unhappy doesn't mean it's something's wrong with the program. Could mean more about the players that left. But with that said, it's not a good sign. You don't like to see that kind of thing. And when it's 9 out of 12 top 100 recruits, that's a particularly bad sign. 6-6 without elite quarterback Caleb Williams kind of carrying that show a little bit. So cause for concern if you are Lincoln Riley. Now you have Husan Longstreet, one of the best quarterbacks in the country coming in. Could he build him up to be that Heisman contender, #1 overall pick? If he can, that's going to help his career prospects at USC and help the overall trajectory of the program. But that's putting a lot on a true freshman when there's a lot of pieces that you would hope be building block pieces of this program that are now out the door.